Hi everyone, Amy Kynes here from Ready, Aim, Teach. Thanks so much for joining me tonight for a very quick video that I'm making, really about the first couple weeks of school. I know many of you have started today or are starting this week about how to get your students' attention. I'm going to make this screen a little bit smaller and talk a little bit tonight about how we go about getting kids' attention. So we know that there's lots of different ways that we can bring kids back together, right? So sometimes we have them work with a small group or with a partner, and then we want them to come back together. What we know we need is a plan. So if I want students to be working together and then I want them to come back, I need a plan. So I have to have a way to quickly and easily have them come back and focus their attention back where it needs to be. So for me as a teacher, one thing that I always did, I would simply just raise my hand. So I would tell my students, the plan is that when you're working with a partner or in a small group, when it's time for us to come back together, I'm just going to raise my hand. When you see me raise my hand, please raise your hand also. And it's just a signal to bring your conversation to a close. Doesn't mean stop immediately. It just means draw the conversation to a close. It's a respectful way to do it so that you still have time to meet with your partners, talk with your partners, but that we can still get back to what we need to do with our instruction. Whatever way you decide to get your kids' attention, you want to have a plan. So you want to think it through. Again, for me, it was raising my hand. For you, it might be turning out the lights. It might be using a chime. It might be having a saying. It might be having a clapping rhythm that you do with students. Whatever works for you, but you want to make sure you have a plan. And we do it really purposely because, number one, it allows for more time for us to have partner conversations or small group conversations. Whether I'm working with very young children or high school students, it also saves me time and frustration. If I have a plan for us to come back together, then I can very quickly and easily have them go to partners and come back together. I don't have to be calling for attention. I don't have to quickly be saying, let's come back together, come back together. It's easy. I'm more likely to do it again. So what I'm going to do right now is quickly have you make a foldable with me. So let me make this larger again. One of the things that we hear quite a bit when people do workshops with us or watch our videos is how much they really like the foldables that we use. Quick and easy, we're going to make one. So if you would go ahead and grab a sheet of paper. So this is an 8.5 by 11, whatever cut you got. This is white paper. If you've got a color, if you've got line paper, doesn't matter. Basically, you're taking it, you're folding it over. This is a hot dog fold. Foldables come from the work of Dinah Zeich. So Dinah is all about three-dimensional graphic organizers, which are what foldables are, right? So you've got a hot dog folded. You could cut it in half now so you have a longer, skinnier sheet of paper. We're just going to leave it like this for time's sake. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to fold it 3 times. So fold it over once. That's 1, 2, 3. So I do a total of 3 folds. Nice creases. Then when I open it up, what I've created is what's called an accordion fold. This is a great, easy, foldable graphic organizer to use if you're doing a sequence with kids or you're having kids learn something that goes in a particular order. It's a 3-dimensional graphic organizer, and you can have your students then, if you want them to mark off spaces, so I'm just going to draw in the lines if you wanted to. So you can have them separate the spaces. Again, it's just a quick and easy way to have kids be able to take notes on something that's kinesthetic, okay? So we're taking notes. We're looking about teaching a routine, and this is about regaining attention. So I'm labeling mine, regaining attention. Pardon my handwriting. And then I'm just going to number down the sides. There's 5 steps. So I just numbered down the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The idea, again, with foldables, it's a tool that we can use. If these are not your thing, that's okay. We hear from lots of people, keep the foldables coming. Keep letting us know different ways to help students get engaged, give us note-taking devices. So that's why we're sharing this with you. Okay, so as we're looking at different ways to help students and be able to allow them to talk with each other but come back together is by teaching them this routine of regaining attention, right? So the very first thing that we do, if this is our routine, number one, we introduce it and we explain why. So in your first column, you would write introduce and explain why. So guys, the routine we use today is that when you're going to be working in your small groups, to get your attention, I'm just going to raise my hand. And the reason I do that is because I want you to have time to be working in partners, but I want us to be able to come back quickly. So when I raise my hand, you raise your hand, we come back together quickly. So I've told you what the routine is, and I've told you why. The why part's really important. Lots of our kids only engaged if they know the why. So make sure you tell them why. Number two, model. Show them what it looks like. And it's important for you to show them what it looks like instead of having students demonstrate, because we want students to see what that routine looks like perfectly. If we want them to learn it and do it correctly in our room, we teach them what it looks like. And then number three, then we can have the students practice it and we can give them feedback. So again, on your graphic organizer, you can write number three, practice with feedback. So if my routine is raising my hand, once they'd seen me do it and I'd modeled it, then I'd say, okay, what you're going to do in a moment, you're going to be talking with your next door neighbor, share something that you loved about summer, okay? When you see my hand go up, it just means draw your conversation to a close. If you see my hand, raise your hand also. We'll come back together, okay? Go ahead and begin. So everybody starts talking. After a few, probably about 30 seconds, I'd raise my hand. Students practice drawing their conversations to a close. They raise their hand. We come back together. What I want to then do is give feedback. If it worked really well, I want to point out that it worked well, and I want to tell them why it worked well. If it didn't work well, or if there was a piece they left out, I want to share that also. So I might say, you guys did a great job of drawing that conversation to a close, but something I noticed, you forgot to raise your hand. So again, if you notice my hand go up, raise your hand also. Somebody may have their back to me, but they might see you, and that will really help everybody come back together. So step three, practice with feedback. Then step four is when we can expect kids to do it independently. What happens often is that we introduce a routine to kids, and then we skip right down to independence. We just expect them to do it. But what's really important is we're explaining why it's important, we model it, we have them practice it, we give feedback, and then we can expect them to do it independently. And then step five, we celebrate it. So when they're doing it well, those first couple weeks of school, we're saying, you guys are doing a great job, this is awesome. You now have much more opportunities to meet with partners or in small groups because this routine is working so well, you're able to come back together quickly and easily. Sometimes we also have to come back, we have to practice it again. So if we've had like a 3-day weekend, or if there's, where I live, if there's a snow day, sometimes we just have to come back and we have to revisit the routine. But if I taught it really well the first time, reteaching it is quick and easy. So it hardly takes any time at all. So if it's an important routine, and in this case, the routine is just getting kids' attention. For me, it's raising the hand. It's worth teaching it right up front so that it's going to work all year long. This is an example of a group of routines that I saw. This was actually in a 3rd grade class in Baltimore, Maryland. So the teacher had this poster up on the wall, but she had taught her students that when she said, for example, she'd say hocus pocus, students knew to stop and freeze and say, everybody focus. It's not enough just to have the poster up on the wall. The routine has to be taught. So she taught when students heard, for example, macaroni and cheese, they stopped and said, everybody freeze. There's lots of different ways to get students' attention, and it's up to you how you decide to do it. But the important thing is decide how you want to get students' attention. So decide how you want to do it, and then teach it to your students. Teach it until they do it perfectly, because once they do it perfectly, you got it. You got it all year long, which will then buy you so much more time for teaching. If you found this useful, we hope you'll join us in our Ready, Aim, Teach Academy, where we share lots and lots of different strategies for routines and all kinds of things to make your life as a teacher easier and your student's life as a student more fun. Just simply go to readyaimteach.com or reach out to us and we can help you along the way. We wish you the very best for a great school year, and we look forward to connecting with you very soon. Have a wonderful day.